With Undertale's 10-year anniversary coming up, I've been reflecting a ton on just how big of an impact it has had on so many people, including myself. 10 years ago, I was 12, a relatively shut-in kid that basically lived on their computer. It was the same thing every day. Wake up, completely disassociate the entire school day, and then I'd get on my pewter for those 5 solid hours of being lucid. I wasn't really doing anything out of the ordinary for a kid my age, from watching dumb YouTube videos and playing Flash games to occasionally pirating a game if I was feeling like a bad boy that day. Man, all that time is blended into like nothingness now. No real desire for friendship, no wish to really be perceived by anyone. I was perfectly content just endlessly scrolling on the internet and letting life pass by. Then one day, Undertale drops. One full view of the trailer, and that was it. Brain chemistry permanently altered. I'm sure many of you can relate. I can't begin to explain why, but just one glance at Papyrus and Sans was enough to make me obsessed. I played through the whole thing in a couple settings, watched multiple Let's Plays, every up-and-coming piece of fan art remix, it didn't matter. I watched every single theory under the sun, even that one, until there was nothing left. But the hyperfixation had only just begun, so that was it. The first time ever I actually wanted to speak to other people on the internet. So through searching and scrolling, I found myself on an indie game-based social media platform. It was really niche. I'm talking user base in the double digits. It was mostly split between indie game developers who used the platform as a way to meet each other and the new unending avalanche of children who learned that Undertale was an indie game, so thus they could talk about it here. These two factions had daily arguments and genuine disdain for one another. It's kinda hilarious looking back on it. Anyway, I was one of those Undertale children, seeking a place where I could talk about the game with others. I didn't expect to be so socially awkward online as well. I don't think English being a second language helped much either. But eventually I started messaging someone. We'll call him Casey. Casey and I were similar in a lot of ways, both barely teens, both extremely awkward, but most importantly, both obsessed with Undertale. We'd talk about the game for hours, we even tried to do Undertale role plays, but that was pretty short-lived. As a kid who made his first ever online friend, I was super eager to start telling them everything about myself, and they would know pretty much everything about me just short of my real name, because, I still knew some basic internet safety. But Casey was comparably closed off. They would love to talk about video games for hours, and even showed a lot of interest when I talked about my life. But when it came to saying anything about themselves, Casey would hesitate and just end the conversation. Even as a kid, I obviously understood it. You want to keep your private life private, but there were moments where it just kind of felt off. Like, it'd be my birthday and they'd wish me well, and when I'd ask, "When's yours, by the way?" they'd completely shut me down, but we kept hanging out. As I got more used to this online thing and cracked my shell a little bit, I started making a ton of friends in a whole bunch of spaces. But Casey and I still kept in touch. We still talked 24/7, and over time I started learning very slightly more about them. Casey was really lonely. They told me many times that I'm basically the only person they talk to. But over the years, they'd turned this fact into a kind of a persona. They said they didn't need human connection. They never needed to talk to anyone. If it were up to them, they wouldn't speak at all. I recall them saying that they wouldn't even talk to me if I wasn't pestering them to do so all the time. But despite this, they often messaged me first, and our conversations were long and really fun. So really, how much of this tough persona was true? Eventually, though, as most friendships go, we started talking less and less. Daily conversations became weekly, then monthly, but I still genuinely tried my best to keep up with Casey. Their demeanor kept turning over the years. Messages became colder and colder. Their tough facade eventually rotted away into sheer apathy. Casey didn't care about anything. Not their family, not their future, or themselves at all. My every attempt to console them and cheer them up just made it all worse. started to feel really hopeless. One day, Casey messaged me though, really excited, saying that they had made friends with a girl they really liked hanging out with. They remarked to me that this was the first time they really felt the need to constantly hang out with somebody, and Casey said that they were really getting along. I just had a sigh of relief. I thought Casey was finally opening up to others, and maybe this girl can cheer them up where I couldn't. Casey even started having a creative outlet. They started to learn music composition and even made a YouTube channel to post their tracks. Their tracks were surreal, experimental, overwhelming in their ambience. Listening to them felt like walking in a dream, something like that. I constantly sang my praises to Casey, and they seemed to really enjoy creating the tracks. However, things quickly turned for the worse. Casey said that this girl was, quote, more apathetic than they even were, and that she was a danger to herself. They were really worried about her and kept pleading with me to give them advice since they said, quote, you're better with people than I am. I tried my best, but obviously I had no magic bullet advice to solve everything as Casey hoped I would, and Casey's apathy just kinda spiraled from there. They kept telling me how nothing mattered, how they didn't care about anything, how bewildered they were at the fact that I cared enough about them to speak to them. I kept telling Casey that I genuinely enjoyed their presence, but they never seemed to believe me. Then, one day, after a message that read something along the lines of, goodbye, see you never, LOL, it was all gone. Their account, their YouTube channel, along with all their music, all gone with the wind. I tried, helplessly, to find another way to contact them, but with how little I knew about Casey, it was basically impossible. And that was it. I never heard from them again. Now, many years later, I still think about Casey often. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am now. They were so patient with me when we were both kids. I was so shy, so scared to talk to anyone, and they were always there for me while I got my bearings with this whole talking to other people thing. Over the years, we both helped each other navigate our hellish, angsty teenage years, and just like that, they were gone. I'll never hear from them again. Recently, while untangling all the threads that kept us together and trying to really piece together how I felt about the whole thing, it kept coming back to Undertale. Had Undertale not affected me as strongly as it did, I wouldn't have felt the need to seek out friendships back then, and we would have never met. And I want to be completely honest here, I haven't properly played Undertale since the year it came out. I finished my first run, like a pacifist one, and never really revisited the game, and it has never clicked for me as to why that is. I'm like a chronic game replayer. If there's a game I like playing, it is more than likely I'm gonna redo it multiple times over. This is true even for Undertale's sequel, Deltarune, as well, but for some reason, I never felt the itch to replay Undertale. So recently I wanted to do just that, replay it, but I just couldn't. I found it difficult to. You know, all the jokes still land, the music still slaps, but even so, it just felt so off. You can call me corny, you can call it cringe, soak yourself in all the irony you want, but I don't live that way. I'm saying this because I can fully admit that Undertale has a sort of daunting property to me whenever I think of revisiting it. I wouldn't call it dread, but it comes close. Undertale, to me, has stayed as a sort of preserved version of who I used to be, where I was in life, what I believed, who I was spending time with. Booting it up now, I can't help but feel like I'm back in that headspace, back on that ancient computer in my grandparents' living room on which I played it. I start overwhelmingly thinking about the past, overcome by how much I've truly gone through, and inevitably, I start thinking of Casey. I just can't do it, and maybe that's okay. Maybe some art doesn't need to be revisited all the time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It changed my life in so many wonderful ways, and I wouldn't be the person I am without it, so I'm just gonna let it stay as a testament to that and let it be. So where does that leave us when it comes to Casey? Well, I'll always remember them fondly. I'll keep cherishing the things that brought us together, but I think I'd like to start moving forward. Maybe instead of obsessively trying to recapture that era of my life through revisiting Undertale and doing late Google searches into anything I can remember about Casey. I can just let it go, move forward, and make some new memories in the meantime. If you're out there, I genuinely hope you're well. I hope you found people you enjoy being around and that you're still creating wonderful things. I'll always miss you. As for you, viewer, thank you for watching, and you'll hear from me again soon. Okay.